Executive Committee, we're happy to have Sri Gopal Krishna, GSS, for one of the most sought after events of BMA under the banner of what we call as the Friday Fundamentals, wherein we invite eminent experts from different walks of life who've always been very, very graciously volunteered to address members of BMA and others who are attending the events. Mr. Krishna will talk about digital transformation in the education sector, and we all know the way everything has been revolutionized and disrupted because of the pandemic in the past couple of years. Mr. Krishna works with Tata Consultancy Services as a country head, market function, and product group head of TCS Iron. Earlier, he worked for organizations like Williamson and Magger, Career Corporation, and Walters Limited. With almost about 28 years of experience, Mr. Krishna has managed diverse portfolios and geographies and embraced various cultures and changing environments. Over 17 years of the 28 years of his experience, it includes heading product division, businesses, developing business strategies, products, developing sustainable and profitable business streams as such. He is a well-known notable alumni of Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar, and the Birla Institute of Technology and Science, from where he pursued his MTech in software systems. I was having a look into his credentials, and I was amazed by the kind of certification and affiliations he has with so many associations and institutions, which includes, like the Institute of Engineers of India, and he is a fellow of Indian Institute of Engineers from New Delhi. He is also associated with the Institution of Electronic and Telecommunication Engineers. He's a senior member of the Electrical and Electronics Engineers of IEEE, and he's a board member for XIM, the Xavier Institute of Management University at Bhubaneswar, and he's a distinguished expert member for the Academic Council of NMIMS, and many more. And we all know the way, the kind of ecosystem, the way the fast-changing ecosystem of digitization is remodeling the entire education space in more ways than you and I can imagine. In spite of the lingering global headwinds, and as we can see around the economic uncertainties, education space all over the world, including India, will be driven by what we call as a stealth and incentives. The template is used by the education institutions earlier to groom students, but lasting success, I don't think can last anymore. It got fractured the day pandemic hit us and rattled the entire globe. What I'm trying to say in short is that the digital revolution has touched nearly every aspect of our life, including education. And it is therefore no wonder that these digital transformations have also heavily impacted the education industry. I had interacted with Mr. Krishna just a while ago, and I could feel, the way things have changed, because it's directly interacting with the education sector and the people who manage to look into this particular industry. The way the education industry has been affected by digitization is absolutely amazing as such. We've also seen in the recent budget when the government is talking about the digital university, and we've seen all kinds of MOOCs by edX and Udemy and so on and so forth. Democratizing the entire education all over the world as such is absolutely unbelievable as such. So in an effort to help students keep learning, many schools and teachers have turned to technology to bridge the gap as such. We've seen that, within short period when the pandemic hit us, how faculty members immediately learned the technologies of being in touch with the students through Zoom or MS Teams and think other platforms as such. So let's just get enlightened by what are the kinds of transformations which are taking place in this space. And I think we will all be extremely excited because there's a great future ahead for the future generation, the generation which is going to rule the entire planet as such. So Mr. Krishna, we are really looking forward to have get a feel as to what all things are happening in the education space and how it's going to impact the life of the students in the coming days as such. So over to you, Mr. Krishna.
So thank you very much, Dr. Mama, for such a lovely way of introducing me, and namaskar to everyone. I am. Thank you very much, Bombay Management Association, Dr. Kavita, and other distinguished member to invite me. It's my pleasure to be part of this esteemed gathering, and I would like to share whatever transformation is happening in this space. Basically, this has actually a current situation has taught us a very different way of looking, coupling education, communication, and technology. So this is a very wonderful way. With this, I will just share my screen, and then I will take you through the presentation. Once my screen is visible, if you can I'll just take a second to share. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the digital transformation in education sector, like Dr. Verma mentioned. Before starting that, the views, what I'm going to express is purely personal, and no IP infringement has been done in this case. So all the IP used belonging to respective owners, because few things I have taken from a public domain, and it's purely for internal and private use. You know, the current last 24 months, 23 months to be precise, we have seen the pandemic, the way it has changed the behavior in a particular way of all the systems, is actually done an attitudinal shift, whether a person, process, people, or entire ecosystem. And as I remember that, the very famous saying from Winston Churchill said that never waste a good crisis. And this crisis, we were talking maybe 3 decades back, we are talking about the technology, use of technology, and the technology, the way it is going to transform the world in all the sector, whether healthcare, manufacturing, or education. And a lot of work were happening, but this pandemic has actually accelerated the rate at which we have adopted. I just wanted to take you back in memory lane when in 19th century, we invested morely on intelligence quotient, that is IQ. And then we remember the Einstein and remember the power of the brain. Then come to a 20th century and the later part of 20th century when we talked about the EQ, emotional quotient, and that is how our all HR policies and other things which has started coming in place, and come to the 21st century, which is the era of technology. And we know that use of technology, and we, all of us, we hear in some or the other point of time, and almost every day we read that use of AI, ML, DL, and so on and so forth, right? And a very good way today, geographically, all of us, we are into different parts of the state, country, and city. But this communication is a big piggybacking on technology platform, and all of us, we are united. So this is the power of technology. With this, I'm just my entire presentation, which I'm going to talk about next 30 to 40 minutes. Which I've divided in 4 aspects. My flow will be basically, I'm going to touch base on education 4.0, how the thing has evolved, and then the digital transformation, which is the main theme which I'm going to talk about, and then how the government is initiated, acknowledged, understood, and accelerated this initiative, which I'm going to talk about it. And finally, a little bit contribution, the organization which I'm working from, how we have reshaped the thinking process of the entire technology and its gamut. If we see how the digital transformation happens, I will just show you one image. And a lot of us would have seen this image some or the other point of time, right? This shows that a developer has developed a web page. a domain expert has given the inputs, but both of them, they have not, maybe they have not interacted each other, understood each other's requirement. At the same time, both of them, they have done an extremely good job by doing this. But as far as user experience is concerned, no one can apply for their own death certificate, right? So this is what is a flip side, or the side of technology, where if we'll not understand, will not learn, will not try to implement in a way which is required, it may be very dangerous, right? So transformation is not about technology only. It should address who, where, when, why, and how. These are the basic questions which we keep on asking in every aspect, the same thing which we should ask in this aspect also. We'll go to the understand that, how this education sector has evolved, right? If we see that ancient wisdom has never been wrong, while many argue that today's education is different, the way we are doing, but the basic foundation is remain same. The fear that technology will replace all aspect of the people and the process. Where I'm saying people means the teacher, professors, faculty, and all, which is not true in previous example which we have seen. And let's have a very quick glimpse of today's education world. I'm going to run a very short video which will give you how the industrial revolution. So we have seen in the previous video that, how the entire transformation took place. The education landscape is changing in such a rapid speed that if the with the rate of change at which it is going, and if institutions will not adopt now, we are going to face the repercussion about this, because it is deepening completely on human being completely. And the way uncertainty is prevailing, the way next course of action, we don't know how the things will move. This technology is going to bridge the gap completely. Even technology is changing the way at which we are doing that. It is decoupling with the land, with the learning. That is the place with the learning, the building with the learning. I can sit here and some teacher can sit some part of the globe and they can teach me. This is how the entire thing is happening, and which we are completely using the communication in this technology, and screen sizes become the same. That it is breaking all the barriers that me versus you. That me versus you is completely bridging the gap. That that demographic divide, which we can say that digitally it is actually coupling completely. If we see that, how the digital transformation has happened from industry 1.0 to industry 4.0, if you see, we have come from the steam power, steam engine to completely to a cyber physical system. In between, we have that mass production or assembly line, the factory setup we used to have, and then automation and computers and electronics, which we have come to industry 3.0. In fact, incidentally, 1969, when TCS took the birth, the inception of TCS has happened in 1969. And today we are here in the cyber and physical space. If we see that industry 4.0 is radically transforming the employment landscape as well. And if you see the demand for new skills will prove the challenging to education 4.0, as it will prepare the youth for tomorrow to develop those much needed skills. If with this of education 4.0 merely, not only about the new technology, in fact, the entire ecosystem of education 4.0 will address a change. The transformation will not limit to what is being learned, but how it is being learned and how it is being taught digitally. Teaching digitally is a different art than teaching, in a classroom, in a whiteboard or blackboard. How the digital ecosystem, a classroom or a remote learning will take place. How the analytics will use, how the data which is being produced of the learners and the teachers, how we can use the data effectively, how the student will get regularly assessed or evaluated and will be analyzed for learning gaps, so that if I'm not good in trigonometry, but I'm very good in calculus, then how the trigonometry portion can be improved. This data will be very helpful. So in short, we believe that the digital transformation in education sector will encompass the three key areas, which is a very important, these areas: the learning ecosystem. All of us, we are aware that learning in the different phases we do, the assessment or evaluation at the either entry or exit, or in between assessment or evaluation. If brain is learning, if the body is assessment or evaluation, the entire ecosystem, the entire heart is the campus. When I say campus, I'm not talking of the brick and mortar, but at the same time, the entire process, procedures, ecosystem, and how it will bridge the gap between the learning and the assessment or evaluation. If we see all these three aspects one by one, if we go with the learning aspect, it's a very vast topic. I mean, we don't think that someone can completely give detailed and orientation about the learning in say 20 or 30 minutes. But in the context of our topic, this image will give a very good idea to all of us about the teaching and learning in education, right? Studies show that various studies has shown that materials will improve our retention and recall of information, enhance our learning experience. The learning pyramid or the learning cone or cone of learning developed by the National Training Laboratory. Actually, this is the National Training Laboratory of USA's learning cone, which you can see in your screen, where it says 90% retention, 90% what we do is actually we retain. And what we read only, we retain 10%. See how the entire thing has changed. And that's why if you see the government of India and the various state government is giving lot of emphasis on skill-based education. And the new education policies also talks about the skill-based education, that while doing, while teaching, while working, on the job training will actually have the entire retention aspect of the day. The way people learn in an outcome of millions of years of evaluation, it cannot be changed with technology. Maybe we can think that technology overnight will change, but the learning pattern, what we have adopted, like initially when Dr. Verma has introduced this topic, when he talked about that, the ancient age, when we are doing this overnight, technology cannot change, but technology can definitely intervene in the areas where it can bridge the entire this thing and then move forward. Even every 10 years, there has been the technology that has claimed to change the way learning happens. 2020s, the current phase, we have seen the game-based learning, which we talked about. 2000s, we have seen the mobile device-based has come and it will become very popular. 90s, if we have seen the internet when it took birth. Then if you see the 80s, the CD-ROMs when we are talking about. 70s, the televisions which has come, and the so on and so forth. So we can change the way we learn by all the technology of the world. The answer definitely is no with this, right? So with this, we can impact the learning, the medium learning of better understanding, and this is where digital transformation comes in. If we see that many institutions are adopting the IoT to enable Internet of Things, how the anytime, anywhere, with any device or any learning device, the learning can happen, and it is connected properly to internet, make it possible for important informations to be passed on to the students. If we take some examples, the school activities or institution or college activities, if we talk about the homework reminders, when I'm talking about the activities, various activities, and whether the assignment submission, the assignment due dates, extension of the dates, even the fee payments, even the fee payment reminders, the library, the hostel, the buses, all the infrastructure of the institution can be connected with this. Homework reminders, group study, we can do that. After school activities, use of digital whiteboards to pass information to student devices, automatic tracking of assignments we can do. So various aspects we can do here. If we see augmented reality equipped systems also we can do, where the AR with its graphics and sounds combined with software system can provide enhanced details and 3D visions of the topic being taught. For example, the anatomy of a human ear can be better understood in an animated way than by the theoretical explanation, or a chemical combination of gas forms. If we do in a visual way, we can learn much better rather than we go through the books. If special education, which we can do, if suppose someone specially able child is there, they can seek the help from a system of a sensor connected to gloves and tablet to generate verbal speech translated from sign language, which the teachers can use while teaching the concept extended to what mentioned in the books. So this is what we can do with IoT. We can even do automated attendance recording. We can do with this where our entire attendance can be recorded in an automated format. We can have an enhanced interaction and productivity using the smartphones or handheld devices, where virtual application based classes make the student more and more interactive in this. And it's basically this entire learning experience will excite, and it will be a fun based learning with this entire this thing. Close monitoring, not only monitoring from the teachers or the faculty members can monitor very closely that which student need what kind of assistance in this space. At the same time, they can, with the data which these analytics will generate, this teachers can get an help and they can teach in a manner where student can understand. And the distance learning, all of us, we know that anytime, anywhere one can sit, whether we can learn, and if we miss something, that we can run the video, we can switch on the videos and we can relearn the entire thing. We can get the methodology, the teaching methodology, the pedagogies, which teachers will keep on doing an experiment with a new way of teaching, and immediately they can change the way they are teaching that entire thing. And the safety of the premises, when we talk about the buildings, brick and mortar, where we are talking about the coming back to the new normal and we are going back to the schools or colleges, and the safety aspect is of the premises is one of the very important thing, where devices can connect IoT, what time student has come out of the classroom, what time student has come out of the campus, what time student has boarded the bus, and when he or she has got down near their house. All these things can be monitored, and one can have a in their handheld device they can monitor, so that the safety aspects, when we talk about this digital transformation in education, it is not only teaching learning, it is all clubbing the entire ecosystem with the technology, right? When we talk about the virtual reality, then AR and VR plays a very big role in the entire thing. Students can take field trips in different countries or different states within our country or different places without actually leaving the classroom. Everything from history to science to astronomy can come to life within the class itself. This actually, I'm sitting in Mumbai. I'm sitting in Powai, and I want to see Kaziranga forest wildlife. If I want to see, I can virtually, I can see that, I can make a tour, and that will interest me so much, so that I can develop a interest in the wildlife. So 3D rendering of a historic this thing, walkthrough of a museum. We keep on hearing about the wax museum, where a lot of celebrities, a lot of people who were, their statues are there, and practically we cannot go, but these things will help us to achieve or visualize our dreams. All right. So this is what this can do in this. So it can boost students' engagement actually. I mean, student will, the moment when student in this way, when they start learning, seeing is learning, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the way student will start learning the concepts. So confidence will go up, and that student will keep on engaging in this in a better way. Experience-based learning, when learning by reading or writing something, which will actually help them imagining things and wondering what they might feel like, right? Virtual field trips, which I talked about, that sitting here and I can I can go some science lab, I can visit NASA, I can see some experiments of science and technology which is happening. And we can have a virtual reality can indeed be used in other training, like mechanical disaster management using high-tech training tools, even virtual laboratories also. And distance learning is, in fact, this particular space has been given a boost with current pandemic. In fact, we see that a lot of institutions of eminence in our country, like IITs, IIMs. Also, if I want to sitting here, I don't want to leave my job, and I want to pursue my master's from IIT Kanpur or IIT Madras in technology or data science or IIT Hyderabad, I can definitely pursue without interrupting my job, without leaving Mumbai, without going physically that place, and I can learn. So on, it goes with the management studies also. So this distance learning is a word which we used to, pre-pandemic, we used to see, we used to understand in a different way, but post-pandemic, I'll not call it a post-pandemic, but the way currently the things have changed, the new normal, which we talked about, this entire learning is while working or while studying. And now students can do multiple courses. I'm enrolled in one college in graduation in Mumbai, and I can do my data science graduation parallelly from IIT Madras. So this is how the entire transformation and all this journey which I'm talking about, this is actually a technology is enabled. People has realized, ecosystem understood the importance of this, and this has started in last 23, 24 months, right? when we talk about the augmented reality in this education ecosystem, um, while using the digital tools, animations, graphics, sounds, and all these things, we can create an amalgamation of real and virtual world, right? And we can do a combined learning with augmented reality-based teaching, which has a high potential where AR-based classes can be combined with worksheets and assessment or evaluation to be able to get a very clear and comprehension of what a student has learned. Making learning interesting, definitely now, as you know that, various research talks, but majority of all of us, we are fiddling with our gadgets, whether we are into social media, whether we are into learning, whether we are checking mails, whether we are doing work, whatever we are doing, the gadgets become the part, which become the actually hygiene factor in our life. So with these gadgets, when we are doing, and when we are making a digital transformation and using devices, which are interesting devices are coming, so learning automatically makes interesting. This gives a very session becomes very, very interactive. Lot of learners or students in this case, if we can talk that, we are from a different backgrounds. When they come in a classroom, a lot of time students, they want to interact proactively, but whatever reason they don't do. But this actually helps them that, students can interact, the faculty can interact with students digitally, and the session becomes so so good that, lot of time we have seen that the classes are scheduled for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, but it goes beyond that, and they want that, we should extend our time. Complex concepts can be understood in a very simplifying way, where learning keep on happening. If I have not understood a concept where someone is teaching, and this has anyways, the session is recorded, later on when I want multiple time, I can replay what has been taught, what has been shown, how it has been shown, and I can relearn, or I can take the help from someone else. And definitely it helps that a reduction of cost, one time cost, multiple time usage, one can do this. Yeah? So while we do a lot of technological experiments, we forget about the cost aspects, but this is one of the main, this is also the pillar which one cannot miss when we are talking. And diversity of the content creation. If I'll ask any of the academician, I'm sure a lot of questions will come later, but all the academician, the pain area is the content, because creating a quality content takes a lot of time. If I just wanted to give some data, if someone wants to create a good assessment content, that is an assessment question or a question item which we talk about, which comes in an examination, is good faculty with a quality inputs. A faculty in 8 or 9 hours cannot produce more than 3 or max 4 items, right? That is the kind of effort, that is the kind of thinking, that is the kind of cost which will go in that. But with the digital enablement, this entire thing will go up, the quality will go up and the cost will come down. I want to show another very short video of future of augmented reality. All right, it's a very short video.
Augmented reality is an enhanced version of the real physical world that is achieved through the use of digital visual elements, sound, or other sensory stimuli. There are many augmented reality use cases we'll see in the future, like in education. Augmented reality has a number of applications that can help improve the learning experience for students, especially for more visual-focused learners. One of the primary advantages of augmented reality is the ability for a student to inspect a 3D hologram from many different angles. By moving around a virtual object or rotating it in space, they can better examine and understand certain concepts. This alone can revolutionize learning in topics like biology, anatomy, cosmology, geometry, and more. Augmented reality also enables students to benefit from at-home experimental learning. Students can run scientific and mathematical simulations in 3D space and view the results from every angle. For example, students can see how certain medications affect various organs in the human body, and they can adjust various physical conditions on a virtual planet to see how those conditions affect its ability to support life. This kind of learning is more likely to be memorable and understood by students compared to other methods. Number two, augmented.
So we have seen that, how the augmented reality can transform the entire education. Now, next comes the data, which we say that data is a new oil. That is how the importance of this data is becoming very valuable, particularly in higher education, because as I just mentioned, that the growing number of online courses, certification courses, the degree, diploma programs, various institutions have started and been well accepted by not only the student, by the working professional. Even the management development programs has started online. And if you see here, it improves actually the student performance. It can give lot of data on the student demographic, the performance of the student, the background of the student, which is the areas they are doing, like attendance, the performance, the extracurricular, or even the dropout rates. And not only dropout rates, that how many students has left a course in between, or how many students has completed the course and completed the assessment, and how many even passed out the assessment. That data is very interesting. If we see any of this data from SWAYAM or MOOC, as Dr. Verma mentioned initially, the NPTEL, and we see that how many students have registered, how many students has in between left the course, how many students has completed the course, how many appeared for the assessment and they cleared the assessment. So this is a thing which gives a data which actually helps us to recreate, restructure the entire course. Even it improves the instructor's performance also. It is not mere a feedback which has been given by the student, but it is the instructor himself or herself can evaluate that, how the performance was, and how they can review that, the entire thing. And with the big data technologies, they can improve this entire thing. One can improve the student assessment data with adaptive learning, which can help the instructor or teacher to determine the students' understanding and modify their teaching strategies for the future. All right. And parent involvement also comes in this, because handheld device, like my daughter goes to a school, in my mobile phone, it's not a simple report card that how much she got in mathematics or physics or general science and all. I get everything that, whether I have a time to physically attend the PT meeting or not, all the data is with me, and then I can have a one-to-one the performance thing of my child, where teacher personally can upload the entire thing, and as per my time, that, not in the stipulated period I can attend, but I can get the entire detailing of them. So parents are involved, because digitally we have connected so well. So many tools has come that, parent, whether they don't have time or not, whether they have willingness or not, but it will be connected to them, and then automatically they will be involved in the child's education. And the curriculum, which I mentioned earlier, that, data actually gives the pattern. It gives a lot of pattern, which actually assisting the course makers, the subject matter experts, in imbibing the relevant subject, using various statistical tools or measurement and monitoring approaches. So colleges or institutions can use the predictive analytics to evaluate demand of new skills, and they can recreate or tailor their courses to meet these needs. Yeah. Now we'll come to the section of artificial intelligence in education. So it's a buzzword everyone talks about, all of us, we keep on hearing that, but it is very early. A lot of things are happening, but very early to expect our fantasies of getting what we talk about. In fact, after this, I may show one video, also a small video, where a lot of things we are futuristic involvement of artificial intelligence, which we are talking about, but we have to see that, how realistic it will be. So artificial intelligence educators is a very concept which actually is coming into existence, where education technology will incorporate emotions and sensing using the technologies with the help of AI, educators to reach incorporating virtual reality in virtual classes. That will be well aligned with adequate emotions, right? So EQ, when I talked about, so we are trying to club the AI educators with the emotional quotients of the students, right? Then we are talking about the aided classrooms with artificial intelligence. The perception would remain beyond human versus machine. Definitely, this debate was there earlier, it is there now, and it will be in future, machine versus human, because we are seeing that machines are learning as fast or much faster than the human what we are learning. But in that matter, it will allow for much more natural interaction between student, teacher, parents, and machine. So now all these days we used to talk about the student, teacher, and parents. Now another parameter has been added in this, is the machine. So machine is actually centrifugal force between all three other parameters, as a student, teacher, and parents, right? Then comes the communicative artificial intelligence. Machine can communicate in speech. In fact, machines are evaluating, all the teaching fraternity may be knowing, but English as a language, a machine can maybe 100% accuracy is not coming as of today, but language machine can evaluate. So humans used to spend a lot of time on evaluating language papers. Now machines can evaluate this, and it can communicate the actual subject which has been written in that. And assistive intelligence will definitely help. Suppose there's a situation which student expresses with smile or frown in the face, AI identifies and responds by addressing the emotions during the ongoing virtual classroom. In fact, teacher can monitor that, what kind of emotion a student is showing while learning, whether he or she is interested, not interested, angry, sad, disappointed, or not at all keen to learn, right? And as a content, I mentioned about the pain area about the content, and that smart content will definitely help. The learning experience can be enhanced by robots by developing customized learning interfaces and digital contents, which will applicable to students of different grades, right? So this is what is going to happen. A very good example of this I'm going to show, very futuristic, fun to watch, but we will discuss how real it is.
Teachers at this primary school in China know exactly when someone isn't paying attention. These headbands measure each student's level of concentration. The information is then directly sent to the teacher's computer and to parents. China has big plans to become a global leader in artificial intelligence. It has enabled a cashless economy where people make purchases with their faces. A giant network of surveillance cameras with facial recognition helps police monitor citizens. Meanwhile, some schools offer glimpses of what the future of high-tech education in the country might look like. Classrooms have robots that analyze students' health and engagement levels. Students wear uniforms with chips that track their locations. There are even surveillance cameras that monitor how often students check their phones or yawn during classes. These gadgets have alarmed Chinese netizens. But schools say it wasn't hard for them getting parental consent to enroll kids into what is one of the world's largest experiments in AI education. A program that's supposed to boost students' grades while also feeding powerful algorithms.
为了就是国家的这个研究呀、发展呀，我觉得是没有问题。
The government has poured billions of dollars into the project, bringing together tech giants, startups, and schools. We got exclusive access to a primary school a few hours outside of Shanghai. To see firsthand how AI tech is being used in the classroom. For this 5th grade class, the day begins with putting on a brainwave sensing gadget. Students then practice meditating.
现在想象我们眉心有一点柔和的光芒绽放。
The device is made in China and has 3 electrodes, 2 behind the ears and 1 on the forehead. These sensors pick up electrical signals sent by neurons in the brain. The neural data is then sent in real time to the teacher's computer. So while students are solving math problems, a teacher can quickly find out who's paying attention and who's not.
说明这段时间他是有点在那走神的。
A report is then generated that shows how well the class was paying attention. It even details each student's concentration level at 10-minute intervals. It's then sent to a chat group for parents.
他可以看每个人的评分。
The reports are detailed, but whether these devices really work and what they exactly measure isn't as clear. We were curious if the headbands could actually measure concentration, so one of our reporters tried on the device.
那我没有感觉自己特别集中。
This is a new technology with still fairly little research behind it.
Theodore Zanto is a neuroscientist at the University of California, San Francisco. He was surprised to learn that this tech, called electroencephalography, also known as EEG, is being used in the classroom on children. It's usually used by doctors in hospitals and labs.
EEG is very susceptible to artifacts. And so if you are itching or just a little fidgety, or the EEG wasn't set up properly so that the electrodes didn't have a good contact, affects the signal.
Despite the chances for false readings, teachers told us the headbands have forced students to become more disciplined.
上课回答我的问题，就是他们的声音会比平常更响亮。
Teachers say the students now pay better attention during class, and that has made them study harder and achieve higher scores.
上课认真听讲，作业做的基本上是全对的。
But not all students are as enthusiastic.
就是这几个脑子脑筋，我感觉这里有个硬的。
This 5th grader, whom we caught dozing off in class, told us his parents punish him for low attention scores. And that kind of data adds a new kind of pressure for students.
你想啊，如果在一次考试全班人都考了95分以上，就你考了一个85，你会不会感觉你有一个
Companies we interviewed said the data can go to government-funded research projects. We spoke to parents who were unclear about where the data ended up, and they didn't seem to care too much. Santos says there's likely no privacy protection at all.
In a classroom, if you're trying to make an assessment of an individual student, you really can't anonymize it.
Experts and citizens alike are sounding alarms about various aspects of the country's huge push into artificial intelligence. These classrooms are laboratories for future generations. And while these new tools may potentially help some 200 million students raise their grades, just how this all works out won't be apparent until they become adult citizens.
So we saw that, a red, blue, and white bands. So this is a futuristic. Definitely work is happening. It definitely improves, as we have seen that, whether students' attention has gone up, students' performance has gone up, teacher understands in a classroom that, who needs a very special attention, which kids needs attention on what. But not everything is as simple as it shows. So when we talk about the technology, definitely we should talk about that, how we can make it successful with more realistic assumptions. So I'll talk about few rather three cases where technology adoption has actually is not very successful. Then we can learn also that, what's gone wrong. One is a BBC, which has launched the digital media initiative in 2008. Basically, they wanted their production, operation, transactions, data, all these things to automate. And definitely the bottom line was they wanted to reduce the cost also. They wanted to automate, they want to reduce time, and they want to reduce cost. And challenge was that entire database, they want to overhaul the entire database, the content of video and audio content. And but what has happened is within a year, a time when the vendor thought that, this is not realistic, and they left. Why it has happened? If actually we go deep into this, basically we wanted to bring technology, but we didn't have the oversight that, what can go wrong, how it can go wrong. So no proper governance, no proper monitoring, no proper marriage between the technology and the data and the experience and the contextual knowledge. Finally, the practices which used to happen on the ground, the transaction which used to happen on the ground has been ignored. Only kept the technology in forefront. So entire initiative has gone for a toss. If we see the next thing, Nike, which has launched their digital sports in 2010, they wanted to take the digital initiative with the technology to reach to the masses, which actually today is happening with the e-commerce coming in line. One click of a button, we have a cloud kitchen, we have a cloud transport, we have a cloud saloon. All these things have happened. Cloud sports today we are having, but that time the challenge, they have not thought of integrating the hardware with the technology. How to integrate their entire logistic warehouse management and the order booking management with the technology. And that has actually has created a problem. Then again, they've launched a wearable fuel brand in 2012, which was very success, but within 24 months has actually they have to discontinue because the cost was mounting up, the margins were coming down, they are going to losses, and finally a lot of massive job cuts because they are not able to exploit the entire data which has been generated, and they have ignored the entire data. And obviously they didn't have a skilled engineers and who can monitor the data, and they can make a predictive analysis of what entire business model, which has again not very successful. And the last one is a Ford, which has started the smart mobility in 2014 to we can call a digitally enabled car, which Tesla actually is now come out currently. The fundamental change, they wanted to do a running a business, which actually the way we used to have our cars used to go on the roads, they wanted to change the complete thing, which is actually each unit worked in silos, and CEOs was fired out and resigned in 2017. So when Ford Jr. in a press conference, he said, to be able to sharpen your message, you need to have a clarity of strategy and a clear sense of alignment behind that message, right? So this is what is very clear, our vision, our focus, our objective, why we want this. Just not that I want technology, why we want this. That should be the main focus. So we'll come to the next pillar, learning. We talked a lot. We'll talk about the campus. Campus, when I say, is it starts with admissions and ends with a report or analytics. In other way, a candidate becomes a student and a student becomes an alumni. In between, all these things happen where you fill up an admission form, application form, you pay fees, then payment is successful, then you get an admission, you go for assessment, you get an admission, then you go to a campus, then attendance happens every day in a classroom. The attendance also one can do in a different way. One can have a attendance with a biometric attendance. One can have where no one can manipulate. One can have a retina reading. One can have a facial recognition. And in a classroom, 50 students are sitting. A teacher just will enter with a mobile phone. Application is there. They will take a photograph, and attendance will happen. That will translate it to a communication where all the communication, whether feed use, class starts, assignment submission, all these things can happen. Remote teaching is one thing which can happen, which definitely today all of us we are experiencing. Timetable management, entire timetable management, human resource, all the human resource leaves, late fines, then payrolls, everything can be run, the staff of the campus in a campus. And exams and tests, whether it's a summative or formative, whether it's a short answer, multiple choice, multiple select, long answers, whatever it can be done, whether it's a midterm exam, final term exam, annual exams, those things. And entire library management can be automated completely, that no one has to remember, no one has to put in a register, and that can completely automate. The inventory, entire inventory management can be made. And reports and analytics, which one can do, where these reports and analytics can help a lot of things. One of the things which our country is today is struggling, at the same time country is taking help of technology of malpractices during the exams. So this reports and analytics management supports, helps a lot in this particular area. This entire digital campus management, using the campus digitally, complete time savings. Time save, one click of a button. You can do all the activities, whether you want to do exam scheduling. It's a very lengthy, long, time-taking, before time planning activity, where one algorithm can actually give that, two students of the same subject should not sit next to each other, that between two exams, one day holiday should be there. All these algorithm can be developed, and which is a cost effective, as I mentioned, that one-time development, marginal maintenance cost, and long-term running this. Very high advanced security features. When I said that no one can impersonate for some other candidate, whether you can use biometrics, you can use retina reading, you can use facial recognition algorithms, you can do multi-campus, can be institution having a multiple campus can be integrated in one campus, where command center, one can monitor everything. Entire thing is a workflow management, which can be a production unit, assembly unit kind of a thing, that the data is in, and the data quality data with analytics will be out. So entire data management happens, and 24/7 access to the entire ecosystem is there. And the last part of this thing is the assessments. All of us, we know that conducting assessment is a very, very cumbersome activity, which we see that in our entire ecosystem, where whether it's admission assessment, whether it's a recruitment assessment, whether in-class semester assessment, whatever it may be, the results are typically used to identify areas where improvement is needed, right? Whether formative assessment or summative assessment. Then we have a tools. Now, currently our session is getting recorded. There is a tools to record. The communication technology can piggyback on this entire assessment module, audio video assessment that, I mentioned earlier, like short answer, long answer, multiple choice, multiple select, a descriptive, subjective. All these things can be conducted and evaluated digitally. Multiple choice, multiple select, all these or fill in the blanks can be selected by the machine, evaluated and assessed by the machine. Long answer can be evaluated by the marking tools, where few evaluation can be done by the machine and the few evaluation can be done by the humans. Digital command center, which actually unites all these activities, right from learning to assessment to campus. One click of a button, sitting administrator can view the holistically all the parameters, whatever humanly we think that those are the parameters which actually help us to monitor the performance and the security of and sanctity of the entire ecosystem. Automated controls are there, the multiple parameters measured by the expert, broadcast informations and all. Here I want to show how this entire thing has been transformed. A small video by TCS.
एसएससी के अंदर जो हमारा स्टाफ सिलेक्शन कमीशन है, एक वर्ल्ड क्लास सेंटर एस्टैब्लिश किया गया है, जिसके माध्यम से मॉनिटरिंग होती है। जो आप वीडियोग्राफी कह रहे हैं उसी का एक कदम आगे चल के, वीडियोग्राफी तो पहले भी हो रही थी, वाइवा वोसा की भी इंटरव्यू की, इसके माध्यम से हेडक्वार्टर दिल्ली में बैठे हुए, राष्ट्रीय राजधानी में बैठे हुए आप देश के किसी भी सेंटर पर फोकस कर सकते हैं। एक इतनी आधुनिक और अद्भुत टेक्नोलॉजी है। OMR सिस्टम हुआ करता था, ऑप्टिकल मार्क्स रीडर, उसको भी अब बदल करके कंप्यूटर पे ला दिया गया, तो ह्यूमन इंटरफेस भी कम हो गया। पेपर कहां से किसने डाला, किस उम्मीदवार ने किस पेपर का उत्तर दिया, वो भी एक समान नहीं रहेगा सबके बीच, और वो उसके उत्तर की कहां से टैली हुई वो भी नहीं रहेगा।
So then this entire assessment and proctoring have a systems control proctoring, whether a machine proctored or man-machine proctored, only human proctor. One can give assessment from sitting anywhere, anytime, with their handheld devices, or they can go to in-center, and a lot of security aspects, parameter which are there, that same people are sitting in one room. If they are in center assessment, they can each one of them, they'll get different questions, and each one of them they'll get a different items will be shuffled, questions will be shuffled. All these things will be done by algorithm device driven tools. A machine will monitor with the facial movements and all. Remotely it will proctor this thing, and it will alert, so that the people sitting in remote areas, they will be alerted, and they can take a preventive measures. How the government is initiated this. We, all of us, we know that national education policy has been uh, 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 developed in 2020, with various aspects on this, where that wanted that gross enrollment ratio, NAP 2020, one of the vision they wanted at 100%, right? And various aspects they have wanted here. They wanted that we should have a respect for diversity and local context, and that is the reason, if you see that lot of exams which is happening in regional languages. In fact, the government has asked that our education, engineering education, also should have a multiple languages. The emphasis has been given on that, right? Whether it's a curriculum, pedagogy, policy, everything of this has to be done this way. A lot of emphasis on given on conceptual understanding rather than the conventional rote learning, where we used to actually remember all the entire learning based on the memory. We develop the unique capabilities in this, where they talk about the recognizing and the tapping the good talent in this entire thing. One of that, critical thinking and creativity was one of the areas which we talk about, so that the skill education is there. One of the thing, continuous review, where in fact we have seen that K to 12 education also entire revamping happens, so that the burden will not be at the end of the entire thing, that so that can be divided, so that learning can happen in a way. And they will say that for teaching, learning, use of different technologies, and community participation, where they talked about the uplifting philanthropy and private public private partnership and all kind of thing, which talked about the equity and inclusion, one of the things which here they are talked about. This is a short nutshell, but when NEP 2020, we want to go bit details. When we talked about, they've talked about the connected classroom with the hybrid. Now, currently in the pandemic, actually, the hybrid way is happening, where few students are attending in classroom and few students are taking remote classroom. Recording based learning is happening, collaborative learning which is happening. So online content online which is happening, video, online repository, and so on and so forth. There, learning on the go, where we have a Pathshala on the go, one of the concept in NEP which has been developed. So learning on the go, where anytime, any device, anywhere one can have dashboards for entire activity list. Mobile apps are there. Pathshala on go for learning digitally, where in a van there will be one overhead projector will be there, one laptop will be there which will be connected, and the learning can happen. And there's a mobile learning which we can talk about. The assessment, where the digital examination, online proctored, offline proctored kind of a thing. One model school per district, where best in class schools we are talking about, where automated administration will be there. One plus discipline, where hackathons, multidisciplinary research clusters will be there. Ready for job, where industry certifications will come, where industry is playing a big role in this area, where skill matching is in progress. And application oriented, which we talked about, the AR, VR kind of teaching which is happening in education system, where new technologies, internship, academia, industry partnership, one of the flagship program where TCS used to conduct a Sangam every year, where all the academicians and the TCS people used to come together, and we used to debate and deliberate about the future of this thing. And teachers were creating a national community that, some teacher is good in Trivandrum, can teach students in Kalahandi in Orissa, can definitely take the help of the teacher. Sensitivity training, that, and how a digital training certification, how to teach in digital environment, right? And finally, enable new policy, reimagine planning relevant insights. So entire collaborate, C to E, for a national education policy 2020, which they have actually covered all the aspect of K-12 higher education and the research and skill education and executive education. Before start with when digital university concept, when Dr. Verma has talked about, in fact, if you see that recent budget of Honorable Finance Minister has talked about the digital university, and this is what is the way forward, where world-class quality universal education university. We are talking about the hub and spoke model. One will be the knowledge repository, and others will be the different parts will be the receivers. One class, one TV channel for supplementary teaching in multiple language from class K to 12. We are talking digital ecosystem for skilling and livelihood. For that is a national skilling quality framework with the industry. So this alignment is happening. Audio, video, gaming, and content task force is set up. 5 academic institution under AICTE to be made as a center of excellence. And the increased budget on Samagra Shiksha and STARS and Aspire and World Class Institution. So this is what is so by showing this slide, I just wanted to give an emphasis that government is very serious on not only on education, how digitally we enable the entire education, so that, all the districts of the country, 745 districts in the country, can be united together, right? And if you see the challenges, few challenges which I want to talk about, one of the McKinsey survey, which talks about the 8 reasons why a lot of digital transformations initiatives initially fails, where they talk about 70% of the large scale changes program don't reach their stated goals. The primary cause for digital transformation failure is basically the percentage of organization that cites these issues are majority, 75%, they talk about this is they right information to right person at the right time is the biggest challenge. Right, and lack of robust enterprise information governance policies. So reliance on paper. Today also we are more dependent on paper, so that we are using digital as a parallel. Execution buy-in. Technology may be good, but we are afraid of change. So hence we are not buying in the execution. That 38% people are saying. 32% reason, 32% is that insufficient training for employees, and that 38% is insufficient in-house training. So these are the basic reasons of failure. In fact, if we have a right vision, a right technology, a right contextual knowledge, and right set of people, there is no reason the technology will not fail. And lastly, the contribution of TCS and TCS Ion, that we are touching lives of millions of school-going children, college-going students, job seekers, and corporate employees in various aspects, whether in this. And as in the earlier video, we have shown 2011 to 2021. 2021, every year we are an innovation freak. Every year we are keep on innovating newer and newer technological products, where entire education ecosystem is getting benefited at large. So these are the journey from 2011 to 2021. where 2021 we have received the patent for computer-based assessment, secured computer-based assessment, which is one of the platform which conducts all high-stake examination in the country. So thank you very much, and I am now ready to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna. You spoke about so many new things. In fact, for us, it was an eye opener, definitely. And you touched upon the national education policy, which came in the month of June, I guess, 2020. And if you look into the policy, as you rightly said, like it focuses a lot on freedom to students. And freedom for students will come only when we democratize education, and that's possible only when we make education more accessible and affordable and scalable, and that's possible only by way of what we call a digitization as such. In fact, the new education policy talks a lot about multidisciplinarity, ease of entry, and so on and so forth. And all these possibilities are there also only by way of what we call as the digitization of the education as such. You know, uh, I'm like, we all know the way the digital, even when the physical infrastructure collapsed all over the world because of the lockdowns, we were not supposed to go out for whatever reasons and all. The only thing which kept us going was the digital infrastructure, and that people have realized the power of the digital infrastructure, which is so important for, especially from the education, not to mention, but from other sectors point of view also. So it has impacted. Since I had a business school, and I know how much we needed it. We would have probably really collapsed and gone out of business had we not had this kind of support. So we've all learned how to use it, but there's still so much of so many things which we need to learn. And I guess experts like you can change the way technology can combine with academicians like us, and then revolutionize the entire space as such. I was reading an article. There was one Indian professor at Georgia Tech in the US, Atlanta, and he teaches artificial intelligence, and he tells his students is that you can call me any time of the day, any time in the night, for whatever doubts you have with regard to the course which he teaches, and I will make sure that you get the answer then and there itself. So the students didn't take him seriously, and they just wanted to test. So they called him at about 4 o'clock in the morning one night, asking for some questions and all. And lo and behold, there was an answer from the professor right away. So you could hear him saying all those things. Much later, students realized that it was all pre-recorded. So he was a professor of artificial intelligence, and he, kind of did so much of work in his area that you could ask any question anytime and clarify your doubts. You don't really have to wait for the next day to meet the professor. So that's how things are changing, no doubt about that. I have a few questions here, Mr. Krishna. Hope it will be fine. There's one question from Mr. Prakash Shalkar. He wants to know, how will teachers' role get changed, or how will the teachers' role get evolved because of digitization? If you can throw some light on this.
So in fact, it's a very relevant and apt question, Mr. Prakash, that in fact, when we talk about the digital in education, so first thing comes in people's mind with whether teachers will exist, right? So teachers will always exist. Only thing, the way the teaching learning used to happen will change a bit. Like just a second before, Dr. Verma mentioned that the professor in Georgia Tech, that AI-based thing. So instantly teacher is responding, the student's query gets resolved immediately. That machine cannot do. That is what teacher has to do. What digital or technology has helped the instant connect or real-time connect between the teacher and the student. But the knowledge what teacher has been cannot be taken away. That is one. Number two is teachers are actually playing a very vital role in this particular thing. As I shown my first slide of a death certificate, where if you don't have a contextual knowledge, technology cannot do anything. Now, teachers, when I talked about the content. So the content is one of the backbone. It is actually main backbone on any learning pedagogies. And the teachers who actually create those content, only they can take a help of machine to shorten their time, to reduce their effort, to reduce their cost. Repetitive works machine can do. All the thinking work teachers will do, and machine will finally redirect that, right? Adaptive learning or adaptive assessment, where again the teachers will play a critical role, that on every student, it's actually a customized learning or a customized assessment creation based on the student's ability to grasp, respond, and react. So the questionnaires or the learning content will be created. So teachers are going to play a very big role, and technology will only be an enabler for them.
Wonderful. I have a question for you, Mr. Krishna.
Sir.
Is that okay?
Yes.
But typically a university will have a variety of faculties, variety of programs, variety of pedagogies, variety of challenges, students with different kind of background, variety of types of assessments, and the complexities can, you can never think about it. Like it can be enormous. It can be absolutely enormous. Can we have one, like one size fits all? Is there any possibility of designing or looking for a solution which is common to all of them, or there has to be differences amongst institutions within the same university also?
So basic.
Let me just add one more thing. Like for instance, I'm sure you know that NBA talks a lot about outcome-based education these days, right? So anything which you do, there has to be an outcome which can be measured and assessed. So do we have solutions for that kind of thing situation?
Yeah, so as you mentioned that our Indian education system or university system, particularly higher education, is very complex. If I have to summarize in one sentence, that we have 5 category of universities: private, deemed, state, central, right, and institute of national importance, or CFTIs, centrally funded technical institute, whatever we call it. And all these together, we have 1,000 plus in numbers, right? And right, each of them, they have a different way of functioning, right? But the core objective of all these institutions is same: to give a quality education, right? And all these institutions, some or the other way, they are governed by the apex body. So the regulation is same, objective is same, only the institutions by way of their philosophy are different. Campuses are different, the faculties are different. This entire digital can create one umbrella, and they can bring all of them together. You are a financial management expert and you are sitting in Navi Mumbai, and someone want to get benefited from you, as you only mentioned that our education policy 2020 can give a flexibility to students. So anytime they can get in, they can get out, they can acquire credits from somewhere. And I want to learn a financial management from you, but not necessary that I should be enrolled in your college. I'm studying in some other institution. I can enroll, I can get the knowledge from you, I can acquire credit, and I can deposit something called a credit bank. I can deposit it there, I can do. So all these things one can have. If you talk about a one solution, definitely the solutions are there. Definitely, as I mentioned initially, a candidate becomes a student and students becomes an alumni. Entire path, if you divide in silos, you can find actually there are 10 things which are there: admission, then academics, then learning, then assessment, then entire scheduling, then the results, then so 10 silos you can do. And all these 10 silos, if you club, then one university or one institution it will become. all universities we can put in an umbrella, and then that can be possible. So this digitally we can do this and reduce the cost and obviously time. This is very much possible.
One simple question, Mr. Krishna. What is the biggest barrier to to a successful digital transformation in our country?
Adoption.
Not like internet and availability of all those things and all.
I'll tell you. Internet, electricity, and device. These are the three things which actually you can consider a convenience or barrier or enabler to reach technologies to the remote areas, right? The way our penetration of internet and the devices are there. Remote areas also we have internet connectivity with small mobile device. We have internet connectivity. Remote areas also we have a device. If we wouldn't have device and internet, the Facebooks and WhatsApp the world wouldn't have become so popular in our country, right?
Right.
So these are not the barrier. Adopting technology in education is an adoption, because the change as a human species change, we are always we don't want to go for this, right? We are always have a fear of change, fear of unknown, right? And that is the biggest barrier. There is no other barrier in our country. We have intelligent students, we have an intelligent teacher, we have an intelligent ecosystem. Government is supporting very well. Entire this thing is there, but there is a fear of unknown, fear of newness, and fear of adoption, fear of putting more effort, fear of learning new things is a barrier in our country.
Wonderful. So nice of you for, I don't know how this the past 90 minutes went by, is absolutely amazing. Kavita ma'am, are you there? She had some problem. I think she had logged in with the help of her mobile.
Okay. No. So thank you very much for
thank you, Mr. Krishna. It was absolutely amazing. You know that we all these Friday fundamentals and the Wednesday webinar which we do, we get such wonderful inputs from people like you. Is that it's an amazing learning for all of us. So I will definitely I look forward to being in touch with you also, and maybe you can we will see someday. I'll take your number and we'll be in touch, and looking forward to TCS Iron support for academicians like us to make the difference.
Thank you very much, Dr. Verma. It was pleasure. Thank you very much for listeners that, in the next 90 minutes, you will listen patiently.
Absolutely.
So some value would have gone through whatever I said, but thank you very much for giving such a lovely opportunity. Thank you very much.
Pleasure meeting you, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.